The grand hall of Terran Alliance headquarters buzzed with nervous energy. For the first time in human history, an official peace treaty was to be signed with an extraterrestrial species, the Drillithians. They were a mysterious race, renowned for their technology and cryptic traditions, and humans had long speculated about their true motives. Today was the day the galaxy would unite, or descend into chaos. Ambassador Isaac Nolan, a seasoned diplomat with graying hair and the calm demeanor of a man who had seen everything, stood at the center of the room. His Earth-born team flanked him, holding their breaths as the towering Drillithians glided in. Their skin shimmered with an opalescent glow, eyes devoid of pupils, and long, slender fingers that seemed to always be in motion, almost as if they were speaking through gestures. "Let's just get through this without offending anyone," Nolan whispered to his aide, Tessa. She nodded, holding her datapad tight like it was a lifeline. The Drillithian High Council entered with regal strides. Their leader, Chancellor Yurak, stood 8 feet tall and wore flowing robes adorned with pulsating lights. Nolan greeted them with a smile, his translator device humming softly. "Chancellor Yurak, we are honored to welcome you to Earth. It is our sincerest hope that today marks the beginning of—" Yurak raised a hand, cutting Nolan off. The translator device beeped in alarm. Suddenly, a booming voice translated the alien leader's words. "You have insulted our ancestors by failing to bring the traditional offering. How dare you speak without presenting the ceremonial slorp?" Nolan froze, blinking. "Ceremonial what?" Tessa's eyes widened as she frantically searched through the diplomatic protocols on her pad. Slorp, slorp. Oh no. "What? What is it?" Nolan hissed. "It's their sacred fruit. They expect us to present a slorp before any negotiations begin." Tessa's fingers trembled as she continued reading. "It's supposed to symbolize respect and, it's a delicacy." Nolan sighed, rubbing his temples. "Let me guess. We don't have one. Not even close." Yurak's eyes narrowed, his translucent skin flickering from iridescent blue to a deep crimson, an unmistakable sign of offense in Drillithian culture. The room grew tense, humans shifting nervously in their seats as the alien delegation began whispering to each other in their strange language. Nolan could practically feel the peace treaty slipping through his fingers. Thinking quickly, Nolan grabbed a nearby fruit platter from the refreshment table. He held up a banana and turned to Yurak with a hopeful grin. Perhaps this will do?" The translator device emitted a high-pitched squeal before coldly translating. "You dare offer us the yellow crescent of disrespect?" The entire Drillithian delegation gasped in horror. Nolan's face went pale. "What? No, that's not what I meant." Suddenly, one of the Drillithian ministers fainted, their long limbs dramatically crumbling beneath them. Whispers of the yellow crescent, unforgivable, spread through the alien group. Tessa whispered urgently, "Bananas are a huge taboo for them. Something about their ancient warlords." Nolan's head fell into his hands. "Of course it is." As tensions rose, Yurak turned to his fellow diplomats, clearly preparing to storm out in outrage. But then, just as the situation seemed hopeless, a tiny voice spoke up from the back of the room. "Excuse me, I think I can fix this." Everyone turned to see Professor Howard, the Terran Alliance's resident xenobiologist, shuffling forward with a wide-eyed expression of pure determination. In his hands was a jar filled with glowing gelatinous blobs. "This," he announced proudly, "is a synthetic slorp. We've been growing them in the lab for months, just in case something like this happened." Yurak's eyes widened, and the flickering red faded, replaced by cautious curiosity. He examined the glowing blobs closely. After what felt like an eternity, he nodded slowly. "The slorp has been offered," the translator finally said. "We accept." Nolan let out a long breath of relief. Thank you, Professor. I could kiss you. Howard grinned sheepishly. Just doing my job. With the ceremonial fruit crisis averted, the peace talks continued, albeit with a few more close calls. At one point, an innocent Earth gesture of thumbs up was misinterpreted as a challenge to single combat, and a translator glitch led to Yurak thinking Nolan had proposed marriage. But in the end, through sheer persistence and a growing sense of absurdity, the treaty was finally signed. As the Drillithians departed, Nolan slumped back into his chair, exhausted but victorious. He looked at Tessa with a smirk. Well, I suppose we avoided a galactic war today. Tessa laughed, shaking her head. Barely. Next time, let's ensure we have a slorp handy. And so, with one awkward peace treaty in the books, the galaxy took its first shaky steps toward unity. Proof that diplomacy, like fruit, could be a slippery thing indeed. What will happen next? Stay tuned for the next part.